College football is back, and we're back on the big mountain.
Hey, welcome back to the mountain, a Thursday live show. We got people in the chat. We're ready to go. People are confused because we switched from Wednesdays, all because of my son's hockey games, but we're doing it on Thursdays. We have this week and next week yet, and then we'll probably be back to Wednesdays for bowl seat, world championship games, college football playoffs, and bowl season.
Yeah.
So, how's it going, Steve?
Going pretty good. My Penn State Nittany Lions, they got back on the winning side last week. We went to the whiteout. Fantastic. To me, I think best atmosphere in college football. So just fantastic. I do want to give a quick shout out. I know you're going to do a rundown here, but I want to give a special shout out to my buddy Nick. Says that he finally made it to the live version of the show. So I served in the Navy with Nick. We've been great friends since 20-something years ago when we were on the USS Eisenhower together. So I know Veterans Day was just passed recently, earlier in the week. Nick was laid up. He was a little under the weather last week, so everybody wished Nick a happy Veterans Day.
Yes.
And I know he's hoping his Tennessee Volunteers knock off those Georgia Bulldogs this week.
Ooh.
Because Tennessee has beat Florida this year. They have beat Alabama this year. And if they could pull off the trifecta of also knocking off Georgia this year, I know Nick's going to be very happy and all those Bulls fans.
Well, he would get along real well with our good friend Bill, that college football guy, because he's a volunteer fan as well. We've got JEH here with us. We've got Steven. We got Mike DeMichael. We got John Hawk saying, "What's up, Dwellers?" Yeah, it's good to have our Dwellers on. And we're going to go over just kind of where we've been. We've been just struggling here the past couple weeks. We got to turn things around. And yeah, I know you have some locks this week.
Yep.
I am staying off locks, so I apologize to everyone. There is no game that I line that I have that I want to lock. There's one that I wanted to lock, but there's reasons why we're not locking it. We'll get to that. But I know you have several. You always do.
Yeah, we're going to make some money this weekend.
Let's do that. So, just a quick shout out to any veterans. I know we have several. Steve's a veteran. Nick, anybody else that's on, thank you guys for your service. Girls, guys, for your service. We always appreciate that, especially during Veterans Day when we can remember, our veterans.
Yeah.
We got Josh here as well, good old Aggie fan. Are we ready to? Oh, what do you got?
Well, first, Mike, he's giving me a little ribbing for saying I can't pick Florida State this week since they're a bye. Well, I didn't pick them last week. I picked against them, and
you got it right.
And we got it right. Notre Dame destroyed them, and I actually bet that game and made some money. So hey.
And John does a little spin off of your We Are Penn States, and he says we are going to win some money, I love it. Let's quick go over our summary, and then we'll get into our picks. So like I say, on our straight picks here, money line, if you want to call that, we don't do money lines, but if we were to do money lines, 79% and 82%, that averages on the Big Mountain to 80. 4 out of 5 is pretty darn good. Spread picks, we're still 56%. We're exactly the same. I think we have been for like 3 straight weeks.
Yep.
That's an easy average when we're both 56%. And then I am sub 50 for 2 straight weeks or sub 500, I should say, in the locks. You struggled last week too, but you're still hanging in there, keeping us above the 50% threshold here for the Big Mountain. And as I said, I'm going to be under again because I'm not locking anybody. So it's all on you, Steve.
It's all on me. I got broad shoulders. I can carry it.
All right, I love it. So with that, are you ready to just get into the Big Ten?
I'm ready to roll.
All right, let's get right into the Big Ten picks for Week 12.
Okay. All right. So first game, the Friday night game, UCLA at Washington. I'm going to go ahead and take UCLA plus 4.5. I like getting the points here. Honestly, both of these teams very similar. Started out a little slow, but have come on. Washington did just travel across the country to Penn State, took a little bit of a beating. Now they have to travel back for a short week. So that's why I'm taking UCLA plus the points.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous about it because Washington has won all of their home games this season and has lost all of their road games. So that travel is really affecting them. But I think the trajectory that UCLA is on, I like how they're playing. And the fact, again, Washington had to travel across the country, back. They got home, I think, like Sunday, early morning. And then they're turning around on a short week, playing Friday night. So taking UCLA plus the points. But honestly, I think this is just going to be a really close coin flip game. And so, when you think it's a coin flip game, if one team's getting some points and they're over 3 points,
right,
I take them.
Okay, I like it. They've been playing a lot better football. John agrees with the UCLA. Big Mama says Washington, so we are split on the chat.
Yeah, and Washington could end up winning the game. This could be a one field goal game, but I still like UCLA plus the points.
Okay, very good. What do we got number 2?
Okay, so my second game, Ohio State traveling to Northwestern. Ohio State is just rolling. They are doing everything that they need to do. I'm taking Ohio State to cover the 28.5 points, and I'm making it a Big Mountain ice cold lock. I usually hesitate to lock games with such a big spread.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, OSU is just rolling. They're doing everything right. They're running the ball. They're throwing the ball. Every aspect of the game they're playing well. They've really turned it up. And Northwestern is just not a good team. They're just not. We talked about this year. They've done some things to be a little bit creative, but I think Ohio State, they like where they're at in the college football playoff rankings. We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
Trying to get back. So I like them to just put their foot to the floor and cover the spread. They covered a big spread last week. I picked them to cover the spread, and they did. So this week I'm locking them to cover that big spread.
Okay, I like it. And you know what, Steve? I just realized. I think this is my first week out of maybe 2 or 3 that I've finally gotten back to my Hofbrauhaus class. And that may have been why I was off kilter a little bit.
It might be.
I haven't had enough brew during our live shows, so I may have corrected the issue here. Okay, so that's your first lock. You going to the third pick?
Yeah, let's go to pick number 3. Michigan State at Illinois. I'm taking Illinois to cover the 2.5. Honestly, I think this is a coin flip game. Illinois was playing so well earlier in the season, and they've had a drop off. I think they've lost maybe 3 in a row, either 2 in a row or 3 in a row. And Michigan State rebuilding. They've been on a good trajectory. I think it's very close, but I think Illinois is still just the better team. So I'm taking them to cover the 2.5, but honestly, pretty close to being a coin flip game. I don't know if I'll actually bet any of my own money on this game.
Yeah.
But the pick is Illinois to cover 2.5.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a tough one. I thought Illinois was going to bounce back a little bit better here over the last couple of weeks than what they have. So I'm not so sure about this game either.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Definitely not locking it.
Yeah.
Okay. So next game, Penn State at Purdue. I'm taking Penn State to also cover the 28.5 points, just like Ohio State. And just like that game, I'm making it a Big Mountain ice cold lock. Again, love how Penn State is playing. They came out after, that disappointing 1 touchdown loss to Ohio State where they had chances to punch it in and just couldn't do it. Boy, they came out and took their frustrations out on Washington, got out to a 28-0 lead right away. Just great, efficient offensive drives, long drives where they got it in the end zone. And I think they're going to continue to do that. And not only is their offense get back on track, but their defense is playing so amazing. Carter, that pass rush, and they're getting players back. It's funny is they're just now starting to get healthy again and get some players back. So I like them to cover this. And Purdue, honestly, I think that Purdue is the worst Power 4 team. Definitely, to me, is the worst Power 4 team, and maybe is one of the worst teams in FBS.
Yeah.
They're just bad. They're no good. They brought in a new offensive coordinator, a high school coach, and their offense looks like a high school offense. They have no passing game. Their offensive line is putrid. I think we have maybe a couple Boilermaker fans, and I don't take any joy in this.
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's probably this experience with Walters is gonna peter out, and they're gonna make a coaching change.
Right.
I'm gonna guess.
Right.
So I don't take joy in it, but I think Penn State is just gonna absolutely obliterate them and stomp on them. And really, the weaknesses of the Boilermakers are the things that Penn State is really good at, and I think they're going to expose that. And I have no problem locking this, even with that big line at 28.5.
Yeah, they're not going to score many points. And they didn't score any against Ohio State.
Yeah.
They're not going to score, I'm not going to say any, but they're not going to score many against Penn State. So, big line, and I know, it's hard to lock those big lines, but with the teams you have here, both of them 28.5, Ohio State versus Northwestern, Penn State versus Purdue. Yep. Those are the type of games you're going to probably lock on it. I mean, they both have fantastic defenses.
Yes.
So you're clearly banking that, Northwestern and Purdue, they're not going to get many points at all.
Right.
And the offenses for Ohio State and Penn State, they're they're too good to be stopped, so they're going to get their points. So
totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, so my next game, Nebraska at USC. Two teams that, started the season well, but have kind of hit some rocky roads. More so USC than Nebraska, but still both of them have hit some rocky roads here. USC is going with Maeva at quarterback, trying to get that spark, and maybe it'll help him. He's more, Miller Moss is the standard drop back passer, whereas we saw Maeva last year more of a dynamic dual threat player, so maybe he gives them that spark.
Yeah.
Nebraska's traveling over to USC across the country, halfway across the country. Dylan Raiola is going to play. There was some questions there, but it sounds like he's going to play. I'm taking Nebraska plus 8.5 points. Really, I think this game could go either way, honestly. But so again, I just like the points. USC has found a way to lose games that they were leading, that it looked like they should have won.
Yeah.
And so that case, I just think it's the safe play to take Nebraska. I really would not be surprised if either team won this game, because both of them have issues. We'll see how Maeva is. If Maeva provides that spark,
right?
They may win, but Nebraska plus that 8.5 gives me over a touchdown in points. I love it. I'm taking those points, and I'm actually betting that game as well.
It's a lot of points. I was surprised to see the line as high as it is. I mean, I would have it probably a field goal lower than this. So I'm just surprised that it's 8.5. I think it's a good pick.
I think part of it is Nebraska has struggled recently, and Raiola has struggled, and they weren't even sure if he was going to play, and they don't have much behind him. So
true.
But yeah, so we'll see. But I love getting all those points. Once I saw it was over a touchdown, I had to take it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so Rutgers at Maryland. Rutgers had that, hit some rough patches of their own, but they're back on track now. So I'm taking Rutgers plus the 5.5. They're coming off a big win over Mini, where they played really, really well with like third and fourth string players.
Yeah.
Manungai was out. I think their second running back was out. They went with their third and fourth string running backs, and they just played well. They basically dominated a Mini team who had been on a streak of winning games.
Yes.
They're the underdogs going to Maryland, and Maryland, they got a decent quarterback. They've won some games. I love getting all these points. I see this as another just close game. Either team could win. It wouldn't surprise me. So I'm going with the team. I'm taking the team plus the points, getting those 5.5 points. And I could see Rutgers winning this one straight up.
Yeah.
This is one where it could be a good money line play.
Yeah.
Same thing with that Nebraska game. Both of these games, where the points are, to me, the underdog could be a good money line play on both of these.
Okay. All right. So you have what? One more, Steve.
One more. And so we have Oregon at Wisconsin. Oregon's traveling across the country again. I'm taking Oregon to cover the 14.5, and I'm making this my third and final Big Mountain ice cold lock. Third one for this week. Again, you see a pattern here. The three best teams in the Big Ten that I think are the three best teams. Yeah. Indiana's not playing this week. Oregon, just a really, really good team. Wisconsin is playing better, but they're not on that level. We saw, Penn State beat up Wisconsin a bit. I think you're going to see the same exact thing with Oregon, but Oregon can take that offense to even another level.
Yeah.
And I think Oregon's offense is similar to Penn State's, but their defense is similar to Penn State's, but their offense, I think they're willing to push it to another level. They have an extra gear there. So I see Oregon scoring a lot of points. I do not see Wisconsin scoring very many points. I was surprised at this line. So I love this one all day. I would have locked this probably up to close to 20, honestly.
Wow.
I think they beat them by 3 touchdowns or more.
Okay.
Oregon, again, just doing everything right. Dylan Gabriel is on fire. You can't stop him. He's got the long ball. He's got the short passes, deadly accuracy. He can beat you with his legs. Every part of their offense is working, and their defense has been playing pretty well. Yes, Wisconsin is improved from earlier. But honestly, I think Oregon is just way too much for them. And so I feel very confident there. Again, just like Ohio State and just like Penn State, to go ahead and lock them to cover this big line.
Wow. I was a little surprised by the lock. I'm not surprised you took Oregon, but the fact that it's just over, there's 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But that tells you where people are at. They're betting it to be over the 2 touchdowns. So, that was the one that probably surprised me the most. I get it. Oregon's a great team. Best team in the country. Yep. I agree with you. Just kind of, that was a little bit of a surprise for me.
I totally get it. Anytime you have these bigger lines, especially because Wisconsin is not as pitiful as Purdue and Northwestern.
Correct.
But I don't think that matters because Oregon has the horses on offense, and they're willing to use them. You and I have talked about that many times.
Yeah.
They're not taking their foot off the gas. They are willing to push the envelope.
Yep, for sure. Okay, well, there you go. Those are Steve's 7 Big Ten picks. Well done. I have 6 Mountain West picks.
Awesome.
You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. I can't wait.
We're going right into Friday night's game, the border war. And I just have to say, right before this, about 4 or 5 hours ago, it came out that a pact has been signed by Wyoming and Colorado State that the border war will continue through 2035.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I put the border war right there with the Apple Cup and a Civil War. You know, for football west of the Mississippi, those are like 3 of the biggest rivalries, in that area, in that geographic area, and it's got to keep going.
Yes. So they signed, it's 2028 through 2035. Obviously, they have next year. They have to figure out 26 and 27 because at that point, they're going to be out of conference games. Their out of conference schedules are already pretty much made up. So they're trying to work out to ensure that they play the border war in 26 and 27. It's not a guarantee yet, but from 28 to 35, done deal, it's going to happen.
Love it.
And I'm okay. Yeah, okay, we miss it for a year. It's going to suck, but hey, at least they have it on the sketch.
I wouldn't be surprised if they work something out.
I would think they probably can. But we'll have to wait and see. So, with that, I had to get that out first because that was fantastic news when I saw that. It is the border war. It is on Friday evening. I am looking forward to it. Of course, I'm homering it up with my Steamboat shirt. And I'm picking the Cowboys plus 9.5. It's just too many points here for me to give up. I think the Pokes here keep it under double digits. And do not be surprised if there's an upset. The border war has had plenty of upsets in the past. It could happen again. This Wyoming team on offense is different with Anderson under center, is different with Whaley at quarterback. And, you see CSU games. They just play low-scoring, close games. So if I'm getting 9.5 points, I'm going to take the points here with the Pokes and go Wyoming getting the points plus 9.5.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like you said, they're a total different team now. It's a big spread for a game that's always played close. Big rivalry game. Now I will say for the Rams, that's their right route. For Colorado State, this is a huge game for them.
It's massive.
Yeah, this could be the determining game if they get into the Mountain West Championship. Win. And they might be in, depending on how the last couple games go. But if they lose, I don't think that their path gets real hard if they lose this game.
They can't lose a game. They have to win out their conference schedule.
Yep.
They have to go over in the conference, or UNLV will be ahead of them.
There you go.
To me, if it goes to the computers, the Rams don't have a chance. So, the pressure, if you want to call it that, is on the Rams. The Pokes, their season ended.
Yeah, they're
many weeks ago. Although I did say, in conference is the second season, and they're doing okay in conference right now, 2-2. But yes, to your point, the Rams, they need to win out in order to make it to the championship game, and they know that. And they want they want the championship game.
So a game that's already a big rivalry game becomes even bigger with Colorado State trying to get into that Mountain West Championship.
Yes. So that's the first pick. That's on Wednesday. Now we get to our Saturday games. The game I was thinking about locking, but I'm not.
Yep. So that game's Friday night.
That's Friday night. Yes. Tomorrow night, the border war. Game I was thinking about locking, but I'm not. Hawaii minus 2.5, and I'm going to take them versus USU at minus 2.5. They are by far the better team. They are playing better football right now. Hawaii has played really good football the last couple weeks. The only hesitation I have here is that they're traveling to Utah State. They don't always travel well, but man, they are looking good right now with the Rainbows. So the game I thought about locking was the Rainbows versus USU. They're by far the better team on both sides of the ball. If you want to lock it at JY, this would be my lock, but I'm not actually locking it.
Okay.
Because I need to keep drinking beer here and get me back on the winning side. Hold on. All right, there we go.
Bill just popped up.
Bill.
I just want not that college.
Surf
football
City
guy,
Bill.
Surf City Bill just popped up.
Yeah, welcome here, Surf City. So, what do you, any comments on that? I know what you're going to say about Hawaii. I mean, kind of Jekyll and Hyde, but they're playing good ball right now.
Yeah, I think Hawaii is the better team, like you said.
Yep.
The current makeup of the teams, but Hawaii has to travel. Who knows what the weather's going to be like there?
Josh says it should be snowing for the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't really snow in Hawaii.
Right, exactly.
That's a game changer.
So the travel and the possible weather, who knows how it's going to turn out. So I understand why you're a little hesitant to lock that game, little Jekyll and Hyde. You've been snake bitten a couple times before. But like you said, on paper, Hawaii should win this game, but it's not played on paper. It's going to be played on the field in Utah.
Yeah. Josh said he's going to be there.
All right.
So scream loud and proud for us, Josh. Maybe I'll see you on the tele, as they say in England. I think that's what they call it.
The tele.
All right. We're going to go to JEH's Beavers.
All right.
So I am taking the Beavs here, -3.5. I don't love it over that field goal, but I'm still going to take the Beavers here. I feel like they're going to win this game. It should be close, but I like taking the Beavs here. I think they probably win by a touchdown. So they have to win by 4. I think they're probably by 7 here. So I'm going to take the Beavers in this game. And
who are the Beavs playing?
The Beavs are playing. I didn't write it down. Who the hell are the Beavs playing? Air Force. That's right. Yeah. They're playing Air Force. Okay. I couldn't think.
Yeah,
I had a brain fart.
So you're taking Beavs over the Falcons.
Yeah, and the Falcons have started scoring points.
Yes.
What the frickin' heck is that all about?
I'll tell you, I mean, the Beavs, they need to get bowl eligible. I think that's huge for that program.
Yeah.
So winning this game would be huge for that. And I need them personally because I put them in some of my season parlays for winning 6
for the
games.
Beavs?
Yes.
Ooh,
so
Stevie.
To win 6 games or more. So Beavs, we need to come through here. Get bowl eligible. Help me out on my season parlays.
Well, I'll tell you what, after last week with Air Force scoring so many points, they've had a couple games here recently that they've actually scoring points.
Yeah.
Like you look at their first 5 games, they couldn't break double digits. Now they're scoring 30-some points every game. So I still like Oregon State here. I'm still going with the Beavs. But I'm going to wait and see what Air Force, they might be onto something. They've been switching quarterbacks. They've been making changes, trying to figure things out. And, like I say, we'll see what happens with that one. So, all right, let's go to Boise State versus San Jose State. I think this is going to be a damn good game. Yeah. I really do. I don't like this line here for Boise at 13.5. I don't love it. They're traveling to San Jose State, and San Jose State has a good passing game. What is the one thing about Boise that we've been concerned about from the beginning of the season?
Defense.
It's that secondary and the passing defense. Now, can the San Jose State Spartans O-line protect the quarterback, Eget, enough in order to get Nash and Gash the ball? That's going to be the question. Can the offensive line protect Eget enough to get the ball out? I'm not sure if they can, quite frankly. I really don't know, but I'm taking Boise State here, -13.5. You can't, I just can't pick against Boise, like ever, because of the explosiveness that they have on offense. But I don't love this line. I'm going to be dead honest. Yeah. I think this could be a good test for Boise versus San Jose State here. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That Nash and Gash offense, if it's clicking, man, it's so good.
Yeah.
They had some games that wasn't clicking, but I mean, Boise is Boise. They got the one of the better teams in the country. Yes, you talked about their secondary being bad, but their pass rush is so good that it really can compensate for some of those problems with the secondary. And Genty, I mean, Genty is Genty. If he's healthy, he's going to dominate.
Yep.
When you got the 1-2 combination of a dominant running game and a dominant pass rush,
yes,
those are the two things in college football. If you have those two things, you're going to win a lot of games, and I think that they win this game. But it'll be interesting if San Jose's offense, the Nash and Gash, is clicking. How interesting can they make the game?
Yeah, and a couple of commenters here, and they kind of mentioned this. Brian Browning, we're going to get to the committee stuff. CFP committee stuff. He says they were merciful to drop us one. They didn't really drop you one. They dropped one because of Ole Miss rising, raising, whatever.
Yeah.
Going up so much.
Yep.
And there was one other one. Oh, Genty gonna gent.
Yeah.
As you said,
There you go.
Genty gonna gent. You can't argue with that. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but don't sleep on the Spartans here. I slept on them for the first 5 freaking weeks, and I got my butt handed to me.
I'll tell you, when we get to the college football playoff rankings, I have a couple specific thoughts that I think the Boise State fans are going to find interesting.
Okay, all right. Well, I got 2 more picks, and then we'll get to CFP. So I know we've got a couple newbies on here, Double O'Neill, Spence, Brian. We're going to get to some CFP stuff here in a minute. My next one is New Mexico versus Wazoo, and the line is 10.5, and I'm going to actually take the points with the Lobos here, getting 10.5. It is down at Albuquerque. I think with the offense that New Mexico has, the running game that they have, they're able to keep this under double digits. And I mean, when you look back at what Wazoo did against San Diego State, not real impressive. And New Mexico has a 10-time better offense than San Diego State has. Now, San Diego State has a better defense than New Mexico has. The over-under here, Steve, is 72.5. And I know our buddy here, Spence, who was on, or Spencer, I can't call him Spence, like I know him. Spencer, he gave me a shout out last week because I did the over.
Yep.
And then he said, nobody else is going over last week. And I said, nope, you got to go over on the Wazoo game. And guess what? It went over. So I'm 2 for 2. I'm not going over 72.5. I think they're finally figuring this out that, yeah, these teams can score stupid points. So I'm not going to pick this one. And those weren't really picks, but I did tell our viewers that I like the over in both of those games. The first one was the New Mexico-Utah State game. That went over, and then the one from last week went over as well. So, yes, 72.5, but I'm going to take New Mexico. I'm taking the Lobos here, plus 10.5. The last game here, UNLV, minus 20.5. I don't love the line. I think they probably win this by 21, 24-ish points. So I don't really love the 20.5, but again, second best team, in my opinion, in the Mountain West. I got to go with the Rebels here, minus 20.5. And that's it. That's my last pick, Steve-O.
Yeah, I like them. I like the picks.
I'm just not overly confident in many of them.
Right.
That's why I'm not locking any.
And here's the thing is you may end up having a really good week with a lot of good picks there, but if you're not confident enough to lock, I get it. You don't have to lock every week.
I'm not. And the reason I'm not locking Hawaii is because of the travel to Utah State.
Yep.
And like you said, the weather, and as Josh says, the weather could be snowy. So that could be a big factor in Hawaii's game here, and possibly even losing the game. But I think they are the better team, no doubt about that. So, do you want to get to the CFP?
Let's do it. I got some thoughts.
You got some thoughts. All right. So, anything with the chat that we should talk about real quick? I know they're
some Boise fans some are having heart attacks. Some are like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's all good.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the CFP. I'll just go over a couple. I think we do have a slide to put up. So we've got both Texas and Penn State going up 2 positions. They both get into what would be those bye positions here in week 1. PSU being the 4 seed right now.
Yes, but they're in the ranking that way. But the way it works with the top
that's right.
4,
it's the top.
So
it's
they
the
won't.
top.
Yeah. So Penn State wouldn't actually get one.
My apologies. Thank you. Yes, correct us morons that don't know what we're talking about. But then the big movers down here, obviously, Hawaii loses. They're down 5. Georgia loses. They're down 9. And then Ole Miss, because they had the big win, they're up 5. And that's the reason you have Boise drop 1, because Ole Miss moves up.
You said Hawaii. I think you meant Miami.
I said Hawaii?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
they're
yeah,
definitely
Hawaii's
not
still in your
9.
brain. Yeah.
Miami,
Miami.
is down 5.
I was like, wait,
into
Hawaii's in the CFP?
No, they're not in the CFP.
Yes, Miami.
But yes, Miami down 5. So I know you said you had some thoughts. I
Yes.
just wanted to go over that real quick,
Yes.
kind of where people are at. I don't like Boise being 13. To me, they should still be 12, but does it really matter at this point? Not really. But what do you think?
I can calm your nerves on that.
Calm my
Here's
nerves.
the thing. If you're a Boise fan, you're a Mountain West fan, whatever, and you're hoping Boise gets in and all that, calm your nerves, just breathe and relax. Because here's the
Well, I'm not worried they're not going to get in.
Well, here's the thing.
I want them to be ranked in the top 12.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
That is irrelevant, okay?
I know it's irrelevant.
So listen, just listen. Just like it's irrelevant that Penn State is up at 4, because that's not
Okay.
where they're actually going to be.
That's true.
The rankings, for the most part, are irrelevant when you just put that number. It's where they are in relationship to the other teams they're competing, okay? So, yes, Boise dropped below Ole Miss. They're not competing with Ole Miss for a spot.
True.
So it does not matter. It's completely irrelevant where they are. Really, who are they competing with? Well, first of all, they're competing with all the other G5, G6, G8, whatever you want to call it, programs, and they're above all of them. Now, we've also talked about the possibility of Boise fighting for a bye, getting that 4th seed.
Right. Yes.
And again, where they are compared to Ole Miss is completely irrelevant to that
true.
conversation.
Yes.
It's where they are compared to the Big 12 and the ACC.
Miami and BYU.
So
BYU.
there's one Big 12 team ahead of them.
Yeah.
There's one ACC team ahead of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Only one. So they need one of those teams to stumble. That's the same position they're in. They get one of those teams to stumble, and they can move ahead. So where they end up in comparison to Texas or whatever, completely irrelevant, does not matter. Right now, they are if they win out, they are going to be guaranteed a seat in the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
And with a little bit of help, they're in the same position. A little bit of help with an ACC team or a Big 12 team stumble. I think Big 12 is more likely, but we'll see.
Right.
Stumble, they can find themselves all the way up there into that 4th seed where they get a bye. Which would be amazing for them, I think. So if you're a BYU fan, just breathe. Not a BYU, Boise State. Breathe, relax, and you need to hope that root for BYU to lose, which they honestly should have lost to Utah this week, if not for some horrendous Big 12 officiating. But that is what it is. My other thought, okay, there's a lot of chatter this week, Big 10 and SEC. So if we had some Big 10 and SEC fans here earlier, if you're still around. Again, similar thing, doesn't matter. There's going to be 4 teams from the SEC that get in. There's going to be 4 teams from the Big 10. Where they move week to week, it doesn't really matter too much. Here's the thing. People are complaining that Georgia dropped out of the top 12, okay? Well, it's because they just got their butt kicked by Ole Miss. They have a chance this week. If Georgia beats Tennessee, they're going to be right back in,
right?
Okay? Now,
and if they don't,
then they're out.
We shouldn't see them in the CFP at all.
Exactly. If they have 3 losses, they're not going to make it. Tennessee has a major chance right there. Some people are upset because I think Indiana and maybe BYU passed Tennessee.
Right.
Well, if Tennessee beats Georgia this week, they're going to jump. Indiana's not even playing.
Yes.
BYU barely, beat Utah last week, and they could stumble. Tennessee will lock their place in and move up. But again, a lot of the positional rankings don't matter because the number 1 or the conference champions are going to get one of those 4 seeds, and the rest of them are going to be back a little bit farther. You do want to be locked in. If you're not a conference champion, it's nice to be locked in that 5 through 8 position because you get a home game.
Yeah.
But it's not the number beside you. It's where you are, like racing. If you're an F1 fan or a NASCAR fan, it's where you are on the track compared to your competition that matters.
So let me ask you a question because JEH brings up a great one.
Okay.
I'm going to ask it like I'm interviewing you. He says the selection committee will not let any G5 team end up higher than the P4 winners.
So you know what my answer to that is?
No, that's why I asked the question.
Boise State is not just any G5 team. They are Boise freaking State. We've talked about this before. They are the one program in the G5, because I agree with them if it was any other G5 program. If we're talking about Liberty, we're talking about Tulane.
Okay.
Boise is the one caveat to that because they've earned that respect. They're like Gonzaga in college basketball. They've earned that respect. They got a New Year's Six game before and knocked off a blue blood. They're the perennial power, and they have Genty, the Heisman Trophy candidate, so they're getting all that love. They're getting that respect. So I understand his point there and the theme of his point, but Boise is not just any G5 team. That's I've said that all year, and I maintain that.
I hope you're correct, because I totally get what JEH is saying, and there's no real great way to compare it unless you use the Oregon State game, and you have to. Like, you would have to use the Oregon State game, but people want to discount the not Oregon State, what am I saying?
Oregon game, yes.
The Oregon Ducks game, the Oregon game. They want to discount that because it was early in the season, and they They literally lost to Oregon by 3 freaking points. How can you discount that?
So I don't think the national media and the voters are discounting that. There might be some people.
Okay.
I've heard that as a positive, that they have they've won all of their games except to Oregon, who's the number 1 team.
Right.
I think that is a feather in their cap, and not a problem.
Okay. All right.
And one more point.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: the Big 12 is kind of a shit show, anyway. So
but they got undefeated team.
They do. They have BYU.
They have 2.
I think just one, BYU.
Just one, okay.
I'm almost positive, just BYU. And that's why they need. If BYU wins out, they're going to get that spot over Boise.
Sure. Right.
But if they stumble, the other teams that are in contention are not perennial. The Big 12 lost their 2 blue bloods. If we were talking about Oklahoma or Texas, they would have that spot even with like maybe 2 losses potentially.
Right. Yes.
But we're talking about the teams that could pass them. We're talking about Kansas State. I can't even remember. There's Iowa State. Those are teams they're looked at.
Arizona State, maybe if they win out.
They're not blue bloods that are going to get that nod over a Boise State, in my opinion.
Okay.
We'll see.
I hope you're right, and for me being a Mountain West fan, I certainly hope BYU has a loss.
Me too. They should have already had a loss this week.
Well, but I'm telling you, the Arizona State game is going to be a really good game for them, or a good game, hard game, whatever you want to call it. I think that's going to be really difficult. Big Mama says, is Clemson going to get in?
Probably not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry, Big Mama.
I think the ACC only gets 1 team. So if Clemson can win out and get into the ACC championship game, but from what I've seen, and I've never been a big Miami fan, I don't know that they would beat Miami in the ACC championship game. So
I agree. All right, so you're thinking 1 Big 10 or 1 Big 12, 1 ACC, and absolutely a path for Boise to be a top 4 if they win out.
Yes, but they need help.
Oh sure,
They need help for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we had, Steve. Was there anything else you wanted to mention with the CFP? Was it mostly Boise?
Mostly that. Although again, just for the and I don't know if we have that college football guy for the SEC. There's all this SEC versus Big Ten nonsense because of the Georgia getting knocked out.
Right.
It's going to take care of itself. They're all playing each other. It's going to take care of itself. The SEC is going to get 4 in. People just need to relax and breathe.
Yep, agree with you. All right, well, that is it. We will wrap it up. Thank you guys for all the chatter in the chat. Good to have you here on a Thursday. We're back to Thursday again next week, and we'll keep doing our picks, and we're hoping for a better week. I changed up my glass. I went back to the old standby. I think that's going to do it. If nothing else, it's going to be the glass.
Let's make some money this week.
Let's do it. Let's make some money. So Steve had your locks. You can go back. If you didn't write them down, you can check it out. Thank you guys again for everybody being on. We got to say, give it a like.
Yeah.
We never remember that. Yeah. Give it a like if you want.
Genty for Heisman. That's right. So, hey, it's good to have you on here. We'll be back next week with that. We thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next time on The Big Mountain.